friends, I'm Looney Spoonie, and welcome to the channel where we are unfiltered, unafraid, and pain recognizes pain. I really hope that something that I say or the things that we talk about in this community might resonate with you, and if that's the case, I truly hope that you would be kind enough to subscribe, comment, share, maybe help somebody out who's putting themselves out there. So without further ado, let's get into it. What we're going to talk about today is losing your identity, or the identity that you thought you had, the things that make up what you believe you are as a person, the things that define you, the things that when somebody thinks of you, what you believe the first things they think of. Even though that might not be what they're thinking, it's kind of the value that you've placed in yourself. And to keep from rambling, I'm going to go into my story and how I struggle with it. I was a very, very, very young mother. My husband and I had our son extremely young. I went from high school at my parents' house to living with my husband, or living with my husband who wasn't my husband then but is my husband now. Stick with me. I'm just going to call him my husband. I went from my parents' house, having graduated high school less than 6 months earlier, to now on my own and getting ready for a baby. And I had high school experience, but I didn't go to college. I didn't go through all these grand times of finding out who you are, making mistakes, discovering what you want to do with your life and where you want to go, and have visions for your future. At 17 years old, those things were decided for me. I say decided for me, but how I proceeded from then on out, that was up to me. So I'm a baby. I'm a baby, and now I'm a wife, and I'm a mother. And I don't know how to do either one of those things. And I figured it out. I stayed home. I was lucky enough to stay home for the first 2 years of my son's life, and that is not because we make a lot of money. My husband was in the United States Air Force at that time, and I am so sorry, but I'm going to say it. You need to pay these men and women who put their life on the line, whether they are overseas or at home, more money. That's it. Because let me tell you something. After 4 years in the military, 4 years in the Air Force, we qualified for food stamps. We qualified for government assistance. That's how little they're paid. And we were getting BAS and BAH, which is being married and living off of base. So, that's it. Just pay these people more. And so for the first 2 years, it would cost more money to put our infant son into a daycare center and me to work than it would for me to just stay home. So I stayed home with him for the first 2 years of his life. I was blessed and thankful because I know that so many mothers don't get that opportunity. So for 2 years it was just him and me and my husband, the three of us. We were in Virginia, and I had no friends there, no family there. I was in my own little bubble, and that bubble was being a wife and a mother. I would cook, I would clean, I would walk around Sam's Club, or talking to my baby like he was my best friend. I would make sure that food was on the table when he got home, and not just food on the table, but I grew up in a household, please reserve judgment, I grew up in a household where you cleaned on Sundays, where my mother, who learned it from my obasan, which is her mother, that you don't sit down while people are eating. You're constantly serving them. You're constantly giving them, do you want more bread? Do you want more milk? I'm going to scoop this on your plate. My husband and son never even dished out their own food because I had their hot steaming plates of food ready for them. Clothes put out, not just for my son, for my husband too. I developed this into my love language. Of course I have words. Of course I can speak and I can tell people, I love you. But my love language, especially to my husband and my son, that was mother. That was being a mother. And that was being a wife. That was my love language. My love language is, because I still struggle with it, my love language is, here, let me give to you. Let me flit around you. Let me make sure you have everything you need. Let me give you your food. Let me make you your lunches. Let me put a note in your lunch to tell you how much I love you. Let me write silly things on the bag. Let me make sure that you don't have to worry about where your socks are, or your pants are, or, as silly as it sounds, being a mother, being an active, being a wife, being an active, involved wife that made her husband's life easier was my love language. And I understand that that might sound so 1950s to you, but to me I loved it. I loved giving of myself and all my time and all my effort to these two men, this man and this boy, who were my life, my world, my everything. And I know that this particular description of love language might not resonate with you, but there was something before you started to get bad, something that you felt like you were the guy or the girl. John was so good at skateboarding, or Mary makes the best quilts, or, Susie, she's in Taekwondo and she can kick everybody's booty. The things that you felt were bits and pieces of you. If you were a puzzle and all of a sudden you start getting sick and you feel like these pieces are just being snapped off one by one. You were a whole puzzle and all of a sudden a corner piece chips away or a middle piece pops out and you pieced yourself together, this vision of what you were, and it's crumbling. And for me it was devastating. It was devastating because the way that I said I love you was no longer there for me anymore. The words were there, but the actions were no longer there. The dishes weren't done. The clothes weren't folded. The lunches weren't made because I couldn't. And when those things started happening, and my husband stepped up. I don't want to say it a lot because, like I said, I am very cognizant of people who don't have the support system. But my husband stepped up. And he said that it had been decades of me taking care of him, and now he needs to take care of me, and I don't know how to let him do it. I don't, and I feel like me is gone. And not only am I gone, I'm putting burden on him. I'd always told people, I have the great jobs, right? I get to clean the house and do the dishes and fold the laundry and do all those jobs in the air conditioning. My husband is the one who mowed the grass and fixed the cars and took the trash out and did all the stuff in the Florida heat. I didn't mind my jobs. I felt like we had a system. Not just a system, I felt like I felt like we had it together. We were moving through life. We each had our own part. We knew our part. And if I came home and the trash was taken out without me having to ask because he knew I was going to be cooking, those were the little things that were like, I love you, I love you. And this may sound completely mental to other people. Something as silly as if we were going to a store 5 minutes down the road to get the silliest of things. Hey honey, I'm gonna go down to CVS and grab some tampons. I'll come with you. Same thing. Hey honey, I'm going to Home Depot to get, I don't know, flathead screws. Okay, I'll go with you. Because I got to ride with him and I got to talk with him. All these things are so hard. And now, when he's in the kitchen and he's cleaning and I'm home and he's telling me that I'm supposed to sit in my chair and relax, it took so long, guys. So long. And I didn't even realize I was doing it. He would clean and I would go stand at the edge of the kitchen. In my mind, I was telling myself it's just to talk to him. He knew. I was just standing there because I didn't know what to do with myself. Because I couldn't just sit there and watch him clean the kitchen and do all this stuff, especially after he worked. So I would stand and I would stare at him because I felt like, well, if you're working, I can't just sit. If you're folding the laundry, I can't just watch you. I felt like my love language was taken away. And when it came to my son was about 14 when I got bad. And I kept it from him. When you are chronically ill, you get really good at acting. That's why a lot of these diseases are called the invisible illness. It's because we make them invisible too. It's invisible to everybody else, but gosh, do we hide it. Remember those masks I was talking about? I'm fine, I'm okay. I use those a lot with my son. I got very good at pushing my food around my plate at dinner so he thought I was eating. He didn't know how sick I was for a very long time. And when he found out, he was so mad. Because my job was to protect him. I felt like my job was to keep the burden of this from him. I'm his mother. And he felt so betrayed that I didn't tell him. And once I did, and he started paying attention, I lost what I thought was my love language with him too, because he wouldn't let me care for him the same way as I did before. And it's them loving me, I know it. But you feel lost. You feel those pieces, those puzzle pieces just being popped off. And you're so incomplete and so lost. And you have no idea what to do. And it's easy to say, find new ways to make yourself valuable. Find new value in yourself. It's a wonderful, easy thing to say, but it is not an easy thing to do. I know that. I am struggling with that. I feel that. I don't know what the answer is. It's hard losing that piece of you. Those pieces that get popped off and left behind. But once again, I'm here to tell you, I'm in it with you. 100%. And we can figure it out. I believe we can. I'm figuring it out. And I'm still struggling. It is still hard. I still want to jump out of my chair every time they try to do something for me. But I'm trying to tell myself, I'm telling myself, I'm worth more. Where can I give now? That's what I'm trying to figure out. Where can I give now? I'm sorry. I just wanted to let you know that I'm in it with you, and pain recognizes pain, and I see you, and I love you guys.